Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your technical critic, and it is time for my review of Kingsroad for Game of Thrones. For the second episode, I am much less confused, but also less impressed. I'm still learning names. Like, I know Cersei Lannister is the queen. I know Ned Stark is the guy that the king came to see. I still don't know what the king's name is. I know Jon Snow, but I knew him from before. I know Arya Stark. And I know Lady Targaryen, and just the Khan. I don't know what his name. What his name is kind of hard to pronounce, so I just call him the Khan. And then there's her creepy older brother. But I'm getting better at it, and I'm starting to understand it. But it seems the more I understand, the less impressed I am with this series. It seems to be less fantasy focused and more political, with a fantasy kind of side quest. I mean, let's face it, if everybody was to be covered in just a thin layer of grime, you could remove the fantasy thing and just set this in the Middle Ages as a political thriller, and you wouldn't have to change a thing. Speaking of the dragons, by the way, I forgot to mention a lot of things during the last review. Thank goodness for previously ons. But this side plot is painfully obvious. I mean, in the last episode, we were thankfully spared what would essentially have been a rape scene with the marriage of the Khan to Lady Targaryen, but nope, they saved that for this episode, where it's like, okay, you literally see her being forced to have sex with her husband while she stares at dragon eggs, and they made this subplot painfully obvious. As soon as the eggs were presented to her, even though they said, "Oh, these are petrified, they can't hatch," you knew from that very moment that if not by the middle of the season, that at the very least by the end of the season, she's going to find a way to hatch these dragon eggs. I mean, even back in 2011, when the trailers for this were first released on the internet, and you saw like dragons crawling all over, you're like, okay, we know what's going to happen. And, well, there really is nothing more to say on that. Politically, the political half of this story, to me at least, is wholly uninteresting. There's absolutely nothing that makes it interesting. First of all, we know why the Hand of the King was killed. I guess the hand being I suppose the guy who keeps running the kingdom while the king is away. So basically, we know why the hand was killed, because we see Cersei and her brother basically saying, yeah, we killed him, and then we find out why when young Stark climbs the tower and subsequently gets pushed off when he sees Cersei nailing her brother. That seems to be the two main attractions: dragons and brother nailing. That's it. I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, I haven't seen anything that's particularly terrible about this series, but I don't see anything to draw me in otherwise. I mean, just that, plus it's an HBO series, so violence and boobies. I mean, let's take a look at it. They killed the Hand of the King, and then we've got Ned Stark. And he's obviously going to be trying to find out why his predecessor was killed. I mean, not even as like a murder investigation, like I need to do it. It would more be like, well, you know what, I kind of need to find out so that I can avoid the exact same thing happening to me. And I'm pretty sure that he seems like a good, noble fellow, which means you absolutely know he's going to be killed off later on. So chances are, either by accident or on purpose, he's going to stumble across the secret, and then he's got to go head to head with the Queen. And if the Queen is anything as vindictive and ruthless as is suggested, not only by the fact that when she learns that the kid is alive, she sends an assassin after him, then we know for a fact that Stark is essentially a marked man from this point on. Plus, he's such a noble character. I mean, you see, he seems like such a great guy, especially between him and the king. They seem to have very good friendship and chemistry together. They're old war buddies. But you you know that in series like this, the good character is normally bumped off in favor of a more interesting, underhanded one, and we will see. We will see. I could be proven wrong. I don't know. But speaking of bumping characters off, Lady Targaryen's brother is his sympathy just growing lower and lower by the minute. I mean, the idea of having a king, even a king in exile, questing for his throne, is the standard fantasy. It's the standard fantasy storyline. However, instead of introducing him as like maybe this noble but conflicted character that yeah, he's willing to do anything in order to get his way back, but he's trying to do it for a good purpose because this is what's true and what's right, and etc., etc., etc. We meet him stripping his sister naked, and then like examining her body, saying, "Yeah, you're good to be sold off, and I would let 30,000 guys sleep with you if it meant I could have my throne." So he's breaking the first law there. First law of brotherhood. You guys know what I mean. And then with like the slave trade thing, he's just painting himself as a dick. And I can just see it's like, okay, in order to focus on Lady Targaryen, we need to bump off her brother. So let's make him as horrible as possible, so that when he dies, nobody complains about it, and it just looks like the natural progression of the story. Oh well, I guess. Plus, what's this thing about them claiming to be dragons? I mean, it seems kind of strange. I also forgot to talk about the setting that they're in, like actual setting. So you've got the wall, like at the beginning they show you the map, and that's great. But so far, with the exception of the side plot that takes place on like this, either I think it starts by the ocean and then it goes to like this deserty plain place. Other than that, it's very Tolkien-esque. It looks like Middle Earth, like not the Shire bit, but the bit where like they're constantly walking through, like it's just forest and gray hills and just north half wintry places. Maybe it'll change once they get to the capital city in the south, and then we can get some nice variation between switching up here, there, and everywhere. But other than that, I really don't have it. This was an okay episode. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. It didn't give me anything other than the Lady Cersei, the Queen's wife, is completely and utterly ruthless and voracious. Because let's face it, for her to get involved in the children's argument like that and be like, "Listen, I'm clearly going to believe my son because he's a little." Speaking of the blonde-haired prince, who is a total asshole. I mean, you vaguely see it in the first episode, but in this episode, wow, he is a slimeball. First of all, he doesn't want to apologize or say that he, not even apologize. He doesn't want to say that he feels that he's sorry for the fact that young Stark fell off of a bloody tower and hit the ground. But also, just the way he behaves, he is such a little dick. If you told me to pick a definition for a spoiled brat, it would essentially be him. Also, he's got a really weird sadistic streak. I'm guessing that's gonna. I don't know what they're going on with there, but he's just such a prat, and the red-haired Stark. She has some weird name, Samantha, or not Samantha, but she has some weird name that begins with S. I barely caught it near the end. The fact that she went and she stuck up for him Why? Why did she lie? It makes no sense. I honestly don't understand. Why would you lie that and essentially side with the prince? I mean, she didn't explicitly say, spoiler alert, if you made it this far, spoiler alert. She didn't explicitly say, no, the prince is right, but by lying, I mean, you kind of leave it ambiguous, and then with someone like Cersei there whispering in the king's ear like an evil slut, she's going to turn out badly. Why didn't she defend her sister? Is that just, is she actually that enamored with a prince who is a dick? I mean, I know she's young and naive, but come on. Come on. You don't have to have dated someone, you don't have to be in the dating game for like 30 years to know when someone is just poison, like pure poison. Oh well. Whatever Firecrotch chooses. She chose to side against her sister. I guess she's going to reap the rewards of that, which was her direwolf being killed. At least that's what it sounded like. So that's my review. All in all, it was an okay. I'm going to keep watching. I'm obviously going to keep watching. There's so much to see, and sorry this was late, but camera battery died, and there's only a few hours a day I can film and upload, so yeah, this had to be done all together. I'm going to do third episode right after this, but I'm going to upload it tomorrow morning so that it's spaced out a little bit at least. So yeah, this has been my technical critique. Hoping that the series continues to get better as I learn more about the characters, and hopefully I can figure out everybody's name before episode 5. And I will see you guys in the next review.